When the lawyer finished reading the will, silence spread through the room like a cold wind. Daniel, the son, had inherited $18 million. Every house, account, and share. Then the lawyer lifted a small, dusty envelope with another name on it. Ava. It looked out of place among the polished wood and perfect faces. She wasn't born into their world, and everyone knew it. The lawyer handed it over carefully, as if it carried more weight than gold. No one could have imagined what that envelope would reveal. Watch till the end! Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Ava had always been the outsider. A teacher with a quiet smile and a fierce belief that love could bridge worlds. When she met Daniel, kind, well-educated, and heir to an old-money Southern family, she thought their differences would fade with time. But wealth has a memory, and so does prejudice. In their marble home in Atlanta, Ava often sat at dinner tables filled with polite smiles and invisible distance. Compliments about her grace or eloquence carried undertones she couldn't ignore. They saw her as a guest, not a wife, tolerated, never truly embraced. Daniel tried to shield her, but he was born into their comfort. He didn't feel the sting of the glances the way she did. When his father died, Ava stood beside him in quiet respect. She didn't expect love from the family. But she never imagined the truth that death would uncover. The funeral was a performance. Designer black clothes, whispered condolences, and rehearsed sorrow. Ava moved through the house like a shadow, nodding, thanking, pretending not to hear. Words floated around her. Gold digger, pity, charity. She'd grown used to those tones, the kind that sounded polite until you listened closely. That evening, during dinner, Daniel's aunt raised a glass. "To legacy," she said, locking eyes with Ava, her smile brittle and sharp. Daniel's hand tightened under the table. He said nothing. Ava smiled back, silently counting the seconds until she could leave. The next morning, the family gathered in the study, a room lined with leather books and old portraits. The lawyer, a weary man in a gray suit, began reading. One by one, the names were called, assets listed, properties transferred. Daniel's share was enormous, $18 million in total. Then the lawyer cleared his throat. "There is one more envelope," he said. "Addressed to Mrs. Ava Langston." Every head turned. Some smirked. Others exchanged looks that said, "Of course, a consolation prize." The envelope was small, its paper yellowed, edges frayed. Ava held it uncertain. Dust rose as she slid her finger beneath the flap. Inside was a single folded note and a faded deposit slip. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. The number written on that slip wasn't millions, but it wasn't small either. $250,000. Beneath it, a handwritten message that made her heart stop. The note read, "To the woman my son loved, I owe your family more than words or money. My grandfather took what wasn't his. The land your great-grandfather built on, he stole it. This account holds the value of that land as it stood when it was taken. I cannot undo history, but I can begin to make it right." The lawyer's voice faltered as he confirmed the truth. Decades ago, Daniel's family had acquired vast property from a black farmer under fraudulent deeds. That farmer had been Ava's ancestor. Gasps filled the room. Daniel's relatives stiffened, their faces pale. The empire they boasted about was rooted in theft. For years, they'd looked down on her family, yet everything they owned had begun with her family's loss. The silence that followed was heavier than any insult. After that day, Ava and Daniel left Atlanta behind. They used the $250,000 to create a scholarship fund for black students studying law and history for those who might uncover more truths like hers. The family never spoke to her again, pretending the letter didn't exist. But silence, she knew, was just another form of confession. The envelope became her reminder that justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through paper and ink. The wealth they guarded so fiercely was built on someone else's stolen ground. And in exposing that, Ava didn't just receive an inheritance, she reclaimed a history. Because sometimes The smallest envelope holds the loudest truth. What would you have done if that letter had been handed to you? Tell us. Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.